Right then folks, it is time for yet another Andy Mays crash course, and this time, look where we are. We ain't at no commercial today folks, we are on probably, it's my secondest favourite river in the whole wide world, the River Weaver. But I've never ever fished this stretch. So this stretch belongs to Lim Anglers, Lim Angling Club, and we are somewhere up in North. Where are we, Jake? I don't even know where we are.
I think it's Dutton Locks.
Dutton Locks apparently. There's literally like there's a caravan park here. We park just the other side of that. It's a dead short walk, and oh folks, I honestly can't wait to get going. I'm going to proper reminisce today and you know, talk you through how I'm going to attack a venue that I've never seen before, my tactics obviously that you'll see to start with, which incidentally we need to come on to in a sec. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ball it to start with. I'm going to put sort of 2 or 3 balls in. I don't want to go all out, ba-dang, world champ style, because at the end of the day, I don't know how solid it is. It looks flipping amazing. There's fish topping. I've actually seen some chubs as well, folks. So where I normally fish at like around sort of Hertford Locks, Hunts Lock, and obviously at Winsford, you don't really catch many chubs there, and out here in the sticks it just looks phenomenal. So what I'm going to do first is get some baiting, get some ground bait in. Now my ground bait mix of choice is we have got Sweet Skimmer and Black River. So your Black River is like a really nice binding mix. It's deep. I've plumbed up. I was going to fish at 13 meters, but it's like 15, 16 foot deep out there. So I've come back to sort of like 9 or 10 meters where I've got a nice depth. It's sort of like 8.5, 9 foot. Oh, hey, mate. It's sort of like 8.5, 9 foot or something like that. Nice and flat. And then it just goes. Obviously, that main channel out there is going to be where the boats are going through. You know, we get some proper tankers and all that coming in up here that are on the way out to the River Mersey. So I've come back up the shelf a little bit. It's quite nice hard ground, and what I'm going to do first is get some of this ground bait in, some lovely mix. Smells amazing. So I'll probably put what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 2. Yeah, I'm going to put 2 in. So I've got my mix there, which is just purely ground bait. You've got to make sure you're doing this as soon as you get to your swim, folks, yeah, because obviously ground bait's going to take a little bit of time to get right, especially in natural mixes rather than like your commercial mixes. Commercial mixes is, you know, a pint of water, for example, pint of ground bait, put it all together, leave it. You've got to be a little bit more careful with natural mixes. So what I've done, I've got 2 bags in there, added a little bit of water at a time, until I've got it sort of like almost sort of not damp sand, but like in between damp sand and quite dry, so it's sticky more than anything. Leave it 20 minutes, go back to it, get it that consistency, and it won't take much water at all. And then you might have to do that sort of 2 or 3 times, put it through a riddle, and then it'll be good to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get two bowls out like that. Now to make the bowls, I've got a completely empty bowl here. Yeah, I've got my first bowl and I've got my second bowl. Them are the bowls that I'm going to put in. So I'll show you the ground bait there. So there's not obviously loads of ground bait there, but I don't want to sort of like go all guns blazing like I normally do and just sort of like ball the bejesus out of it. Yeah, this amount of ground bait will be enough to draw fish in, and that's why I like to ball it and not pot it, folks, simply because it's the noise factor. Yeah, I don't know if it gets fished or anything like that. It's deep water. I need to make a little bit of commotion to, you know, suddenly make the fish stop in the tracks and obviously homing on that noise. So that's what I'm doing. So into that. So bait wise, I've got hemp. We've got some elderberries picked by my boy last night off our elderberry tree in the garden. They're going to be going on later. I've got 2 different rigs for them. I've got some good old disco pinkies, you know, just in case it's hard, proper. I wouldn't go anywhere on a natural venue without disco pinkies. And then I've got 2.5 pints of bronze and red maggots. Whether I probably will start loose feeding a few of them, but to start with, I'm just going to put them in a mix. So I'm going to put a bit of hemp in there, not loads. I'm going to loose feed the hemp over the top, probably 2 or 3 meters downstream of where I'm going to fish this mix. I'm going to put a few maggots in, again, not loads, because I want to make sure that, you know, if it's not, you know, loads of fish there, I want to make sure that they're picking my hook bait out, and then just a few pinkies, just a little sprinkling of pinkies, that's all. And that is what I'm going to put in. I'm going to make my balls up again, and I'm just going to be nice and quick when I ship out and get that in there. See, there's fish top there then. There's definitely some fish in, so that's my first one. I'm going to make my other one up. I'm not going to make one as hard. Make this one a little bit softer. Yeah, so see, I've got my 2 balls in there. So I've got my hard one and then my softer one. I need to be quick because we've got some maggots in there. So I'm just gonna take that hook from the bottom there. Let's say I'm only fishing like 9 metres. I'm gonna take that section off. I'm lined up, what am I lined up with? I've got my hard one there, I'm lined up with, I've got some nice dark water there. And I'm not too bothered if this lands a little bit short. So I'll put that one in there, and I'll put that one right on the end of my pole tip, just there. So that's perfect, that'll do. And that's what I want, so that's the first thing I'd do. You know, if I was coming fishing somewhere on a river where I've not fished before, get your bait in first and ball it, just so you're creating that bit of a commotion. So by the time I've taught you through me setups now, I've only got 2 setups, fishing dead simple, folks. Hopefully there's going to be a fish or 2 waiting for me there. You can see it fishing, so instantly that's something to pick up on as well, folks. Obviously, I've been in a dry run with my rig, and I know it's not moving very fast. Now that tells you everything, where them oils and obviously the bits of particles of the ground bait that are coming off. You can see it's over sort of like 2 metres square. It's hardly gone downstream whatsoever, so I know I've got a nice catchment area there, and I know it's not towing through too fast at all, so that's absolutely perfect for me. What I will do though, sort of like 2 or 3 metres down my swim, is just put a bit of hemp in as well. I'm not going to put loads of that in, so I want to catch all my ground bait first, but I will start to introduce quite a bit of hemp, because if there's roach here, they flipping love hemp, folks. Oh, I can't wait to get going. Right, come on, let's get on to the main things then. So first things first, let me talk you through the rig. So remember me saying, when I wanted to fish at like 13 metres, just a nice comfy distance, but upon plumbing it, it was far too deep. It was like over there somewhere, at least 15 foot. So I've come back to, as I said, that distance there, where I've got a nice sort of 8 to 9 foot. Elastic wise, we've got a 6's slip in there, which is obviously my winter elastic. Now, it's perfect for sort of like these smaller roach. If you're starting to use like heavier floats and you're in deeper water, I would recommend going a little bit heavier elastic, like a single 8. I wish I'd have had some 8s. I wanted to bring some 8s today, but I think 6's will be fine. I've tightened up a little bit. I've probably taken about 4 or 5 inches off the elastic just to tension it up a little bit more. We'll see how we get on. I have got some, you know, sort of like really light carp stuff, like a 9's Jura, just in case, but I think 6's should be fine. So that's first things first. We've got a nice 6's elastic through, nice and soft to like cushion everything, because I'd imagine there'd be skimmers here as well, folks. I don't flip it. Literally, that's the beauty of it. I don't know. Main line, we have got 0.16 AccuPower on, which I pretty much use for all me fishing for, like, you know, when it comes a little bit colder, commercials or natural venues. 0.14 when it goes really cold, but 0.16 just nice and robust. Will do everything. Just above the float here, very important, even more so on probably on natural waters, folks, is your back shots. So 2 number 8s back shots, and you'll see they're a little bit further away than what I'd normally have them on a commercial. And my line, pole tip to float, is a lot longer as well, because it's not like you're in a commercial and you've got a little babby pole pot on the end and you sneak in a bit of bait and you've got to fish right over it. Natural waters is different. You'll see me, I'll lay my rigging different, I'll flick it out, I've got a section of pole behind me that I can go a bit further out, fish off bottom, constantly be changing around my depth, that kind of thing. So it's completely different. It's a completely different mindset, and you've got to be a lot busier than what you have on a commercial. Coming down to the float itself then, and I've put a 3/4 gram 0.75 carry on. So nice stable float, obviously wire stem, but a nice fine bristle as well. Again, with it being fairly warm, we're just, where we are now, 2nd of September, you could probably get away with pretty much stepped up, you know, carp floats, you know, like a F1 maggot, F1 pellet, that kind of thing. It probably wouldn't matter too much, but I don't know what the flow's going to be like. There might be locks on it. They might open the locks and tow through. They might get boats, this, that and the other. So that's why I've opted for a 3/4 gram, just because we've got 8.5, 9 foot, and I've shotted it a little bit different to what I would do on a commercial, which we'll go through now. So coming all the way down here. So around, what we're going to say, it's probably getting on for 2 foot away from the hook. We've got a bulk of number 8 shot there. I've just got a tiny number 11 just as a trimmer shot. My way of thinking is, obviously on these natural kind of waters, you want to get your bait down or your rig down fairly quick, and then you just need something nice and light. Your droppers need to be nice and light to bring your bait in lovely and natural behind it. So we've got our bulk there, get down nice and quick, and then down the rig I have got 3 number 10 shots. Yeah, I'm not using stocks, number 10 shots, probably 6 inches apart, something like that. And then hook length wise, flipping it, it's dead simple, folks. Straight out of the packet, these hooks, I've used them a couple of times last year and I think they're amazing. They are N20s and we've got these bad boys on. So I've got 16s and 18s, N20s to 0.10. They're flipping amazing. They're like really light, super sharp, and obviously they've got little baby barbs on. It's weird using barbs. Even like plumbing up, I went to put a plummet on, caught the hook in me bib and brace, and like, that's cut a little hole in it. I couldn't get it out. Just not used to using them at all. But it makes such a difference, you know, when you are sort of, you know, we might encounter snags, we don't know what's on the bottom down there. It's so much easier and takes all the time out of prep getting these hooks to nylon. They're absolutely superb. They're on AccuPower as they are, you know, 0.10 AccuPower. It's the line that I would use anyway. Just brilliant. Get on them, folks. And that's that first rig, you know, done. Nice and simple. Nothing complicated with it. I'm dying to get fishing. I'm going to start off on probably a bronze maggot to start with. See what happens, and then if it's hard, I haven't had a bite for like 5 or 10 minutes, I'll probably go into disco pinky, something like that. So that's my first rig. That's what we're going to start off on. Fish that ground bait, see what happens. If we have a run of fish and then all of a sudden it goes quiet, then that tells me that we need to feed again. So I'll make another little ball up, bit of loose feed in there, and then, you know, introduce that ball and see what happens after that. If that's not working, we might need to just go down the completely bronze maggot route or something like that, start feeding. But 100% what I am going to do, and they flipping love this time of year, coming into like, you know, really early autumn, is hemp. So we'll start loose feeding hemp, sort of like 2 or 3 meters down my swim, because it's not got we've not got a strong toe on today. That's why I can get away with feeding hemp sort of 2 or 3 meters down from where I'm fishing. Ideally, that's why I wanted my 2 swims. So I'd have my hemp swim short and then my ground bait maggot pinky line out long to catch everything. Almost like you would on a commercial, pretty much, folks. You know, you'd have your swim where you'd start off on first, but you'd prime like your short swim like you would maggots, and that's exactly the same as what I do on here. I'll be waffling, aren't I? Right, so my hemp rig, exactly the same elastic on this one, which is important, I think. You need a soft elastic when you're fishing hemp for like roach and that. Yeah, you've got to set the hook, so you'll see me striking now when we do getting bites, but I just think it makes a massive difference. So 6 is slip. To start with, it's set, so my first rig, my ground bait, is set sort of 2 inches over depth, but as I say, I'll play around with that. My hemp rig is probably about 6 or 8 inches off the bottom. It's very rare I'll fish hemp on the bottom. I always like to fish it off, or even, you know, 2, 3, 4 foot off the bottom. If I was in a proper match and I knew hemp was working really well, I'd have 4 or 5 rigs done up from, you know, 4/8s, 4/10s floats all the way up to like 4/16s, depending on the depth. Exactly the same main line again, folks, a 0.16 AccuPower. 2 number 8s back shots again, but float wise, just like you would on a commercial. 4/14s F1 maggot. So F1 maggot, or going a little bit finer. When it goes a little bit cold, I'd gone a little bit finer float, you know, like an F1 fine or something. But carbon stem is very important when you're hemp fishing, because when I'm laying the rig in, whether I lay it upstream, downstream, flick it out, you've got to hold a tight line, because these fish will intercept that bait as it's going through the water. So that's why carbon stem is so important. So that's what we've got there. And then coming down the rig, again, shotted completely different for hemp. We've got a series of number 10 shots. So what's that first one there? So it's fishing, probably fishing this about 8 foot. And it's sort of 8.5 foot where we're fishing. And then I'd say 4.5 foot. Yeah, just over halfway, we've got our first dropper shot. So number 10, and then it's roughly every 4 inches, we've got a number 10. I've not gone any bigger, I've not gone any smaller on the shots, folks. It's literally just 10s all the way through the rig. I don't know how many we've got on, 5, 10 or so, 10 to 11. And then I've got the exact same hook length on with the exact same hook. So nice and simple. But first thing I want to do is see what's happening on the bottom. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go straight into it, Jake. I can't wait. I've waffled for long enough, folks. We're going to go straight into it. So I'm going to go straight on with a bronze maggot. I'm not going to give it long. And if we don't get a bite on a bronze maggot, I'm going to come straight back and put a disco pinky on. But bronze magway is on. Get that shipped out there. I've got my marker, which is the joint on this pole. I'm going to start by putting my rig upstream and see what happens. I can't wait for this. I'm not going to loose feed any hemp to start with. I'm just going to see what happens with that. So you see there's hardly any toe on that whatsoever. Is that a bite straight away then? No, it flipping was. It was a bite through the water then. Oh dear hell. I wasn't expecting that, folks. So bite straight away then through the water. Now it's something to keep an eye on that actually. If you are, you know, constantly getting bites through the water and obviously, you know, they're not really on the bottom, then just chase them up. That's when obviously, you know, a degree of loose feeding will make a difference. Something's had that on the drop there. Oh, we had one on them, folks. Oh, something had me blooming maggot. Oh, gutted, my first bite and I blooming miss it. Oh no, maggot's all right. I was not expecting that. So it just shows you, obviously, the beauty of that balling, that feeding, how quick them fish are coming onto that bait. What if we left it like 10 minutes or so, something like that? So already I'm thinking, obviously, to get down to the bottom, heavier rig. I've only got this one done up though. Flipping it. What is going on? So that could be that plumbing soft elastic, couldn't it? Right, I'm going to give it a big wallop this next one. Oh, it could be far hooked, you know, if they're having it through the water on the bottom. So that's another bite through the water then. I'm not even loose fed. So literally all them fish have come to that ground bait what we've put in. Oh wow. Right, give it a big one. There we go. What is going on, folks? It's flipping solid. What's it going to be? Perch, roach, perch, roach. It's fighting like a chub. Oh! I didn't want to say, folks. I got told that this. I've just caught the bestest fish in the world first hook, folks. I did get told there was chub in here. Oh, Jakey. Oh my days, folks. I've found me fish in heaven, haven't I? So down that throat of that chub, yeah, it's coughing all the bait up that I've put in already. I know the greedy fish, so it's something to keep an eye on. If you have got a few chub in your swim, obviously you've seen how much bait they get through on the Y, then, you know, it might be that I need to feed a ball every go. I mean, if there's a load of chub there, that elastic was a little bit too light then, but we'll see how we get on. So that's definitely what the mother fish have been, definitely. So all I'm interested in now, folks, then, is just literally just fishing. Oh, I can't believe I had a chub. Just literally fishing this ground bait out. Yeah, not interested in like loose feeding, any more maggots or anything like that. What I will do though is I'm going to put some hemp in slightly downstream. Just get this one go. Oh, that's not chub, that's a roach or something. Flipping heck, it's solid, folks. Go on, the little baby roach. Oh my days, folks. This is a bit special, this, isn't it? I wasn't expecting this whatsoever. How have I never been here? Jakey, how have I never been here? It's only 20 odd minutes in my blooming house. I've never been here. Flipping heck. Right, I'm going to put some hemp in this time. Hardly any flow in it at all. So I'm going to put the hemp in down there. That's it, one will do for now. There's a few roaches. I can't see the chub left there. I have caught chubs on the weaver before, but only little babby ones. So that flow's going right to left. It might not seem so. Oh God. Oh my days. Tell you what, folks. You can have your commercials. I would do this any day. I would. This is how it's all started for me on these kind of venues. Certainly on the weaver. Never here, obviously. But certainly on the weaver, that's how it all started for me. It was all rod fishing then and not really pole fishing. Right, so hemp goes in down there. Don't put any maggots in. I mean, obviously, for the time of year, it's still flipping warm. If I started wellying maggots in, I reckon these fish would come right up. I think they'd be a nightmare to hit. See, there's something on that, I reckon. Yeah, I had a bite on that then. Has he folded these? Folded the maggot over. Got to be careful, there's a person coming. Get that down there a bit. So these are having it on the drop. So this is where potentially, you know, a heavier float would come into play. Obviously we're fishing it for the very first time. You know, obviously it's obvious that we're on quite a few fish there, so getting down to the bottom, you'd probably need like a gram and a half, something, to get right down to the bottom nice and quick. Maybe a 2 gram just to like plummet it down. But me being me, you know what I'm like, I'd like to draw these shallow, but I think they'd be a nightmare to hit shallow. And with it being flipping heck, with it being a real deep bit of water, you know, you could almost lose them, you know, if you start loose feeding. At least with that ground bait on, you know that bait's all getting down to the bottom, and it'll be like the little tiny bits that are kicking off that ground bait, just bringing the, oh my days folks, just bringing the fish up. What was that? That was something different. Is that a bigger roach? Oh, a skimmer. Come on, flipping neck. It's like a blooming aquarium. So we've had a chub first, Chuck, then the roach, and now we've got a skimmer. So obviously where there's bigger ones, where there's little ones then folks, obviously there's going to be bigger ones. Oh my days, this is flipping amazing. Oh, I'll just get ahead of myself here. This is absolutely ridiculously good. Ridiculously good. There's no evidence that anyone's fished it at all. There's a tiny little like platform here, but there's no evidence that anyone's fished it. I'll put a bit of hemping down there. So I'm not putting loads of hemping, probably what, 30 grains, something like that. Flipping it, folks. This is ridiculous. I'm almost expecting a big blooming pike to come and nail one of these fish as well. There's a lot of pike. Certainly where I fish it, further downstream, Northwich and, you know, Winsford, lots of pikes there, but some massive perching. As I say, it's completely the unknown. You know, worms would have worked, obviously, that kind of thing. It looks flipping amazing over there on that reed bush, on a maggot feed. I bet there's loads of chubs under there. Tench, bream, traditional feed. Oh, stick float, flipping heck. It'd just be, I think it'd be absolutely solid no matter what you fished. This is amazing, this. See, someone's had that on the drop again. You can almost tell, because I've got that float dotted right down. Yeah, so what's that? Is that something off the bottom? That's another skimmer. I'm going to swing it. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be brave. Ooh. They usually fall off them, don't they? Honestly, this is like amazing. Absolutely amazing. Get all that slime off. And one, I say, it's not a small hook either, really, that, but obviously the depth, and it's that black nickel coated hook, so you can get away with it as well, certainly on a big maggot. Put a bit more hemp in. I'm not going to put loads in. It's down there. Always feed hemp a little bit further downstream, because it's like really heavy, it'll sink quick. And it just gives yourself a bigger area to fish in. Bump that one. Whereas obviously lighter baits, you're feeding on your float, or slightly upstream. I'm going to lay it in different this next time. I'm going to lay it in downstream. Everything's been going upstream so far. Flipping heck. Cheeky. What's this? What's this? Bigger roach. Definitely feel as though slightly heavier elastic would have been better today, but we're getting away with it, aren't we? Right, I'm going to lay this in a little bit different this time. So as we're going now, obviously you can see there's flipping loads of fish there. I don't need to feed anything else yet. Don't need to loose feed, because remember saying loose feed will draw them fish up. I mean, obviously you know how much I love fishing up in the water, but they'd lose themselves, I'm sure they would, with the big expanse how deep this is here. So that's why by feeding the ground bait, you're instantly getting down. Something's had that on the drop. Flipping heck. By feeding the ground bait, you're getting the fish down to the bottom and let the fish pick the bait off. As soon as we go, I mean, obviously you've seen, we've not gone 15 seconds, 20 seconds without a bite. As soon as that changes, something on that as well. Oh dear. So see, by laying it in a little bit different, downstream, we've got a bigger fish. What's that going to be? Is that perchy? Skimmery? Roachy? Chubby? Oh! Go on then, Papa Dom! This is flipping amazing. Oh my days. Look at that. Oh, God, this is... I don't even know where I'm up to with talking or anything like that. I can't remember the last thing I said. All I know is this is like... Jakey, I'm not leaving. I'm just staying here. And I bet you won't mind just watching and watching until the flipping cameras stop rolling, wouldn't you, today? This is... Oh... So what would I change now? Absolutely nothing. I think I was talking about bait, but I can't remember. So things to watch for. Obviously, we've not gone 20 seconds without a bite. As soon as that changes and I have a, well, whether I get a run through or not without a bite, I don't know. But if it went a little bit further down with swim, see, there's something on that already. That is not settling at all. Put a bit more hemp in. As soon as that changes and you know you went maybe how it is now, 90 seconds to 2 minutes without a bite, that's when I'd put another ball of ground bait in. And I'd throw it again as well. Again, it's all about that noise, commotion. And if that didn't work, you know, then obviously start potting it or start loose feeding. Loose feeding's absolutely massive, it can be. You know, it'll draw fish in from an area. But to start with, always, certainly a venue like this where you've never seen before, it's just that loose feed, that ball in the ground bait just attracts fish in. So there's been a boat moored up somewhere. You can see these big ripples. I did hear it, but I can't see it. So obviously that's, you know, the locks might open and this, that and the other, so we might get a bit of a flow on. But yeah, just be patient. Almost fish your bait out first before you do anything, you know, rash kind of thing, before you do top up. I mean, obviously we've got a section of pole behind us as well. You know, go a little bit further out. Flick the rig out. See, that was a bite then on the drop. Bumped it again. It's not as good laying that rig in like downstream, if you like, with the toe. It's almost better laying it in upstream and letting it come and settle. Even though we had that skimmer, we didn't have a bite as quick that time. We missed a couple and we bumped that one as well. So I'm gonna put that in up there again. And it can be sometimes that, you know, if you are getting lots of missed bites and bump fish, folded over maggots, that you almost do need to put more ground bait in to keep them, to pin them on the bottom, you know, rather than loose feed. So it might be we need to do that just to pin them back down on the bottom. But this is amazing, this. Absolutely loving it. Never ever in the whole wide world ever would you get fed up of this. It's just phenomenal. Right, let's try a different colour hook bait. Let's try a red magpie. A magpie, see what happens. Sometimes it can bring different fish, other times it doesn't. But try a red magpie. I mean, obviously we're going to fast forward everything today for you, so I will have a go on the hemp. You know, usually with that hemp, it doesn't, it's almost like on a natural water where, as I say, you've got your normal swim or your main swim, you're fishing out, and then you're loose feeding your short swimming maggots or casters, priming it and then go on it. So it's a method that doesn't work to start with initially. Usually you've got to prime it a bit first, so even if we don't get a bite on it, I don't catch. I'm sure we will do because there's a few roach there. Oh, there you go. So red maggot, something different. That's perchy, isn't it? Yeah, that's perchy. Yeah, so I can't remember what I'm saying again. Just definitely a perch, so another species. Definitely perch. Yeah, he's perchy. Shows you red maggot, something a little bit different. So if there's fishes like that around as well, perches. Now what we have got here is a little bit of just under its fin there, under its gill. What we have got is weed close in, and it's quite coloured today. So I'd imagine like a a little bit of chopworm there or something. That'd work for some perch. Has he come out? Yeah, he's come out. That'd work. There's so many options across there. It just looks absolutely ridiculous as well on them reeds. Definitely some big fish living over there. Not seen anything big top, but you know, there's been a lot of fish topping. Probably chub. We've had chub like that. Imagine there'd be dacing as well. Go on the daceries. But this is just, oh, amazing. Put a little bit more hemp in there. See, every time I'm just running that, well, yeah, attempting to run that float over that bait, we're still getting bites. I don't need to change anything. But as soon as you go, as soon as we go, as I say, a couple of minutes maybe, 2 or 3 runs. Oh, another perch. That's mad, that, isn't it? 2 perch on red maggot. So let's put a bronze one back on. And then let's see if we can get a different species again. Or a silver species. Mad, that, isn't it? Absolutely nuts. Yeah, don't need to change anything at the minute. If you weren't getting bites, and obviously we started off and it's been amazing, bites straight away. If you weren't getting bites over that initial bombardment, then I'd definitely start loose feeding. You know, loose feeding either your maggots, your casters, maybe a few pinkies and that, to draw fish in. But obviously we don't need to do that because the fish are there in numbers. That's nice, just running it through. So you can see it's running through dead slow. What can work sometimes is holding back, certainly in the river, holding back hard, so your bait almost sort of like trips up off the bottom, and then let it, oof, I'm going to say, then let it go through. Fast bite, that would have been a roach shot. So the last, obviously them 2 perch, when taking them out, that was a little bit longer for a bite though, that roach then. So already I'm thinking, do I need to feed a little bit more bait? I probably don't. There's probably still more than enough bait down there. We're still getting signs, but I'm not getting them as quick as what I was before. I'd have had a bite by now before. Whereas we're just going that bubble in here, that'll be a tench. There's quite a few tench in the river. See, we're just going that little bit longer without a bite. So it's things like that that should start to make you think, do I need to feed again? So I will do it obviously while we're going. I'll feed again, hopefully get another really quick response. And then we'll probably finish this segment off with me going an hemp. The longer I can leave that hemp, I think the better chance we have of a bite. Oh, so you see, it's just going a bit pongy now. That last sort of 3 or 4 minutes, missed them 2 bites, and then just took a little bit longer for a bite as well. So what I'll probably do this next time is make another little bit of ground bait up. Not as big a ball, sort of like probably tangerine sized ball. There we go. Just taking a little bit longer, and the fish, if you notice, the fish have gone smaller as well. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it as we go. And this is exactly what I'll be doing in a match. I'll be thinking, right, fish have gone smaller, I'm not getting as many bites, so we need to change something. So what I'm going to do, get a little bit of ground bait out of here. I've still got quite a few particles in the bottom, but I want them to pick my bait out, so I'm a bit reluctant to put any more bait in. I put a little bit more bait in, but not much. And what I'm going to do when I'm out there, just going to get a ball of ground bait, sort of like tangerine size, and throw that in, something like that. We'll do that as we're going. So that over there. Right, let's get back on it. And say, hopefully we'll get a quick response again. And then if we do, we'll catch a few more fish on it. Just it'd be interesting to see the difference for you to, obviously, to see back home and see what I was on about. Because I do like waffling, but also, hopefully I do know what I'm talking about as well, certainly on natural venues. So I'm going to take that section off. My little ball up that's got some maggots and pinkies in from before, and then feed that there, and just get straight fishing again. There we go. So that noise is going to take, well, it's going to be instant. It'll take like obviously 90 seconds to a minute. That ball will be getting somewhere down the bottom now, but it's just that commotion. Any noise, as you know, it's exactly the same as on commercials. You know, the noise factor. The fish are just drawn to it. They're like naturally inquisitive. So see, look, straight away, bite on the drop there. It's just nuts, isn't it? The difference with putting that bait in. So I've taught you a few reasons why I've done that. When it didn't necessarily go too much slower, but the size of the fish, they changed. You know, a little perch, 2 little roach, missed a few bites. Just generally not as solid as what it was when I first started. So you see already, like that's a bite on the drop there. That fish is probably on, but we'll give it a little bit longer. And they're just instantly home in on that noise, that ground bait. They're just completely drawn to it. I'll probably give it another couple of runs through, and then what I'll do is I'll try the Hemp. Hopefully we'll catch on it. But the longer you can, another misbite then, the longer you can leave it, the better. Alright, so that ground bait will have taken effect now. You got two quick bites on it then. Line is probably just coming off the remnants of that ground bait and that as it's falling through. But it'll be settled on the bottom now, so I expect to get bites fairly quick. Now we can see that ground bait fizzing. There we go, we're right over it now. Go on the fishes, anywhere there. Now I am fishing, you know, slightly over depth. I'm to the bottom of the body of the float, and it's, you know, it's the same depth all the way through. But, you know, experiment with that depth as well. Come slightly off the bottom, you know, if it, oh, I bumped him. If it's, you know, bigger fish you're after, then obviously go a little bit more over depth, that kind of thing. Anything like that will make a difference. So we saw there that ground bait has instantly drawn fish back. That was a little bit better roach. Unfortunately, we bumped him off, but a little bit better roach. So we should get another nice quick bite again this time. I'll put a little bit more Hemp in. I've gone a tiny little bit further out, literally only 4 inches on my pole section. A bit more Hemp in there. And then we should get a fairly quick fish again now. We're just waiting for the number 10s to come in. There we go. And hopefully it'll just carry on going. Go on. Go on. See that ground bait fizzing. Oh, a little dink then. I think there's one on that. I think there's one on that, folks. I'm going to wait. Wait and wait and wait. Yeah, he's probably been on a while then. Another little fish. Right, one more on this one then. And then we're going to try the Hemp. The beauty of that Hemp, usually it targets the bigger fish. Obviously, you know, Hemp straight out the tin, which is what I've got for feeding, which is that stuff. The Sonubaits natural hemp. That's what we're feeding. And then for the hook, Jakey's very kindly cooked me some hemp, but I'll tell you what works really well on all folks is elderberries. So I'm going to start off with an elderberry. I'm going to put an elderberry on to start with and see what's what. But obviously, you know, proper old-time favourite is tares. Tares can work really well. It just tends to pick out the bigger fish. That's that chub jumping in that net down there. It just tends to pick out the bigger fish. But usually you've got to wait a little bit before it starts working. It's not something that can be instant. Occasionally it can be, but my experience of hemp, it's like you've got to prime it and then go on it. Look, you can see like I've got a little line there where that floats. Oh, it's going down. You can just see that ground bait fishing, can't you? So I know I'm directly over my bait all the time. Definitely this last ball I put in, obviously we're still getting bites. It's not like it was when we first started though. So that might be something to keep an eye on. It might be that, you know, obviously we left it like 10 minutes before we tried it that first time. So it might be a case of you need to put the bait in and then, you know, leave it a bit, then go on it. Or I might just simply need to start loose feeding. But you can see there's one there already. I'm going to strike him. Whoa. Yeah, coming straight to it. There's just flipping loads of fish there, basically, isn't there? It's just amazing. I'll put a tiny bit more hemp in down there. And we'll get going on that. So the hemp, obviously, as it falls through the water, it will draw them roach off the bottom. And that's the beauty of it. That's why we have them shots spaced evenly out. And what we'll do when that... Oh, flipping it, right, when they're laying a bit different, when they're laying that way again. Yeah, having them shot spaced out by holding a tight line, it's falling through the water dead. Really, really natural all the time. It's a great way of fishing. Just don't do it often enough. So what can happen if it is smaller fish, and obviously you will miss bites off them. But, as I say, I'm fast forwarding. Matches wise, you know, you catch some smaller fish on the pinky, single, disco pinky, double, you know. Oh, that was better. So we laid in that a little bit different, down with the flow of the water, so like downstream, which resulted in, what's it? It's another chub. Come on, a chub it is. So that's mad. So obviously that's telling you, because we've had that chub fairly quick after we fed that ground bait. And remember, the first fish we caught on that initial feed was a chub. So obviously chub being chub, dead greedy, they're just coming straight to that bait, straight to that ground bait. Typical chub, he's blooming snarled me up in the net. This is why we use barbless hooks, isn't it? Absolute nightmare. That's gone, it's gone through the net, through the chub, into the chub, out the other side of the chub, out through the net, back in its top lip. Nightmare. But it's a chub, bestest fish in the world. Right, I'm gonna have a quick go on Hemp. But just, again, little things like that to pick out on, folks, yeah? So, that initial ball of ground bait, chub was the first fish there. That ball of ground bait, I know we had a little roach, but them fast bites that we've missed probably would have been chubs as well. So, put that one down, and then we're going to go on the Hemp. Well, I'm going to start off on an elderberry. So we've got a fairly big hook on there. I'm just getting a, what size elderberry? Smallish elderberry, but you can see why elderberries work. Are you in on that, Jakey? Just look at the state of them. You can see why elderberries work, and obviously so soft inside. Don't want to go right through the middle, just hook them round the side like that. Look at the state of that. The only trouble with it is, unless you like, I mean, back in the day, certainly I fished with great hemp anglers, the likes of Derek Willen. He was the best hemp angler I'd ever seen, and he'd do his hemp, he'd put like a little needle through the hemp, and then he'd tie it with a dead fine bit of line, and he'd hook the line. So it's almost like banding a pellet. You could have multiples of fish on the same bait, but obviously you're putting your hemp or your elderberry or your tear straight on the hook, you only get one go at it. So it's not ideal really, but you know, it is what it is. I just hope we're catching it. We should do. So first thing I'm going to do, because we are fishing it through the water, is just put a little bit of hemp in there. Not loads, I'm probably putting like 20 or 30 grains in. Now with this one, I am going to go with the flow. Hold a tight line to that rig. So it will take a little bit to throw through the water. Like that, so you can see it coming through. You can see obviously the oils of that hemp as well. The beauty of having that strung out shot and holding a tight line is obviously you will get the fish hook themselves sometimes as well. Now what can work is lifting and dropping your hemp. You know, lift and drop. Certainly if you've not got much flow on, like we've not today. Oh, missed it. It's good that we got a bite on it quick. I wasn't expecting a bite, to be honest. I be fair, I was not expecting a bite, so that's good. We like that. Not ideal that we missed it, but we like that. So put another little elderberry on. I say that's the only trouble with it. It will fall off. It will fall off. Yeah, the beauty of this, certainly on a nice slow flow like we've got here, is we can pretty much, like you do on a commercial, lift and drop. So I'm going to hold a tight line. That's it, get that going. So that's why you need to use carbon stem. Yeah, so tight, hold, and then just almost let it go. There we go. Well, I'm going to get this one now. So I'm about 8 inches off the bottom on this one. There's a bite there. I'm just going to leave it. Oh, you blooming. I'll put that a bit more in the middle, so hold that on. Yeah, it's a trouble with it. They will obviously come off the bottom because we're loose feeding this, and obviously anything that you start loose feeding, the fish will come off the bottom. So it can be that these fish might be, you know, 4 or 5 foot deep, even shallower, that kind of thing. Usually it'd be roach show, but anything will leap them pretty much. That's what we want. Just want that going through like that. Perfect. So you see the angle I've got on the float, a little bit different to what I had. Oh, just blooming nightmare to hit. You see the angle I've got on the float, a little bit different to what I had on the on my initial rig, on my first rig, yeah, where I was directly above it. This, you always want to have that tight line, because the bites are so fast, as you've seen. It can be an absolute nightmare. And not ideal with a blooming downstream wind at the minute, folks, either, but just keep that as tight as possible. And then I would say you don't miss bites, but we've missed 3 already, which could be liners, but I'd imagine there'd be proper bites. Certainly with how they've been. Could be a little tiny roach. And so usually it picks out the bigger ones. Such an effective way of fishing. You know, when you get it right, it can, like, it just destroys venues, or certainly with roach, destroys rivers and canals. Oh, right, let's get this sorted. I'm just gonna put tiny little bit more depth on that rig. Just go a little tiny bit deeper, bring them back shots down, just so I'm holding that line that little bit tighter. Right, come on, I'm going to catch one this time. Tiny little chains like that, we're going to catch one. Telling you, I am telling you. Right, put a bit of hemp in just before we go out, almost like you'd be doing when you're shallow fishing. Put your bait in first, ship out. And then hold that tight line there, get that on its way so you can see why you need a carbon stem on. Yeah? I mean, when they're having it proper, they'll just be hooking themselves. It's almost like F1 carp fishing. So good. As long as everything's nice and tight. What I will try as well is, you know, flicking it out and flicking it upstream. But it's just typical roach being roach, they are. Oh, they're a flipping nightmare to hit at times, aren't they? But at least we're getting bites. They're just horrendous to hit, roaches, sometimes, folks. What happened? I'm going to try a bronze maggot on that. Not yet. We've got to catch one on elderberry. But I will try a bronze maggot just to see where the fish are. If they are coming up and the big roach, then it's get ready time. If I was in a match, I wouldn't have changed anything. I'd have still been on that groundbait one, catching one a chuck. But obviously, we haven't got that kind of time scale when we're filming, so that's why I'm fast forwarding everything. I'm just showing you this. Right, it's getting down towards the bottom, so I'm going to let that go slightly. Come on. Oh, God, these fish, I tell you what. Right, I'm going to lay it in that way. At least that elderberry's staying on. They're just a flip. What's that? 5, 6 bites I've missed now? Tickies like that, you amateur, Andrew. So sometimes the beauty of laying it in upstream, it's keeping everything nice and tight. It can work wonders sometimes, but usually laying it in with the flow downstream is better. We'll see what's what. See, that's coming to now, so I'm going to bring my pole back round this side. Come on. Let that go. There's hardly any flow on it at all. Come on. No, they're definitely better that other way. They're watching it through the water. Don't think there's many down on the bottom there, and that they're probably, obviously when we're loose feeding it, they're probably taking it through the water. So I'm going to try thin it out and dropping it. It can work really well at times, this. And just let it go back down. Oh, it looks so good. Looks like it's just going to go. Come on. Try it again. Come on. Put a bit more bait in. Don't think any of this bait's getting down to the bottom. Come on, I want to catch one on it. Yeah, none of that's getting down to the bottom there. So I'm going to lay it in again, but downstream. And then hold a tight line like I was before. Every time we've done that, we've had a bite. Get that going. Come on. And let it go. Let it go, but you can still see I'm holding that line behind the float, so it is nice and tight. Come on. Come on. just about settling. Now. There we go. So literally, as I said, just about settling now. It went. You see the size difference? They're usually a little bit bigger, but they can. Is it a chub? It's a blooming chub. I thought that was going to be a roach. Right, ignore the fact that that's a Charles the chub, the bestest fish in the world. That should have been a roach, but obviously, joking apart, that can be what we're missing as well. It'd be interesting to see what would happen putting a maggot on, because as I say, it's blooming early days for hemp. I just wanted to show you, obviously, like the laying in aspect, the feeding aspect of it all. But let's just see what happens on a maggot. I'd imagine we'd get a bite well before we get down there. Only going to feed hemp, but probably what's going to happen is get a bite well before we hit the bottom, and I'll end up fishing fairly shallow. I'll probably bring a foot off that to start with. So we're getting hold back. That wind's not nice, and then let it go. Let it go, but just gradually. So you're keeping that line tight behind the float. Go on. Anywhere there. Yeah. Proper, innit? So that's what we should have had on the elderberry. Roach like that. Nice fish that. Didn't have it on the drop. Didn't have any bite on the drop. I'd expected a roach on the drop straight away then. But we didn't. Let's have another go. Feed hemp just before we go out. Again, sort of like 30 grains. I don't know if I said before, but the reason I'm feeding the hemp downstream is obviously it's a lot heavier. It will sink a lot quicker than what you know, your maggots or your pinkies would. So that's why they're getting fed downstream. Obviously, we're only like 2 or 3 meters away, but I wouldn't fish like this if I was in a match. Ideally, I'd want separate. So I'd want, this is my hemp swim where I am now, and then my long swim where we started off. That'd be my long swim, but it was just too deep. Just too deep for obviously time of year. It's still warm. So that's why I've come back and found that depth. So that was on the drop then. What's that? What's that going to be? Perchy? Oh, so good. So typical hemp fish there then, folks. That perch. I'm going to have another go on this, and then I'm going to go back to that ground bait line just to show, obviously the fish will still be there, but the reason I went on this was just to show you obviously how we lay it in, how we feed it, and then obviously you can see the difference of putting a maggot on, because it's not quite right for the hemp yet. I've not left it long enough. That's probably why, you know, maggots are working that little bit better. And it can be phenomenal sometimes. Obviously maggot over hemp works really well, but I'd imagine we're catching on the maggot there as well, because of obviously the remnants of the bait that I've fed, you know, 2 or 3 meters upstream on my other rig. You know, that'll be still going. You can see it fizzing from that ground bait before as well. What would happen if I'm convinced if I started loose feeding maggots, and obviously them fish would come off the bottom. So probably just catch one more on this, and then we'll go back on that other line, just see what's what. It's worth bearing in mind, obviously, we have rushed this with the hemp. That's why, you know, we missed a few bites. Obviously, that should have been a roach, but joking apart, if you were, you know, in a match or you come for a pleasure session, leave it a little bit longer, usually a couple of hours. See the fish on the drop there now. Usually a couple of hours, and then try it, and the difference is like ridiculous. You know, you get some massive fish on it, like the roach that you didn't even think were in the river or the canal where you're fishing. That's what you'll be catching, and it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. So I think someone's had that on the drop there. But how it is, you know, that first rig, which we'll go back onto, is miles better. Even though we're getting bites on this, you know what I mean, that size of fish will be coming off that ground bait that we had before. So I'm going to change rigs. I probably, like, I would I'm going to carry on for a bit anyway after, but I would like to try that rig like a foot, 2 foot shallower. I'm convinced it'd be there as well. Right, let's get back on this one. So let's see what's it been? 15, 20 minutes maybe since we last fished this one. Now remember, obviously when we first started, we left that initial bombardment probably 10-15 minutes before we went on it. So I'd imagine we'd get really quick bites again on this. What we should do, because they'd be settled over that ground bait, might be that we need to, you know, feed another ball fairly quickly again. We'll see how we get on. We can keep putting that Hemp in, because I am definitely carrying on after this, folks. Oh, am I? This is like ridiculous. So let's get this side and see how quick we're getting the bites. So when we first started, we'd have had a bite by now. So I'm not expecting it to be too long. There we go. Whoa, missed it. Missed it. It could be, like, as I said, they could be off the bottom then. Usually this style of fishing, when you're on the bottom and you get a bite, you don't really miss them. Obviously anything through the water, the liners, you know, there can be a bit of a problem. That's why we're not loose feeding on this one. That's going through lovely, that. Look at it. Look at that. I'm going to hold back, because we had all the bites there. I'm just going to hold back, let that bait run up, just so everything's nice and tight. So you can see the angle of my float now. I'm holding back. That bait will be coming slightly off the bottom. I'm just going to let that go. Should get a bite anywhere there now. Come on, anywhere there now. Go ahead, come on, come on. Come on. It's going to go. Oh, little blooming. Keep that going in. Right, what we'll do this. Oh, that was a bite on the drop then. I'm going to keep my pole to the left of my float and almost drag it through. That can work wonders as well sometimes, you know. Just putting that little bit more flow onto the rig. If there's not much flow there, that can work really well sometimes. Let's say it's just all about on the day, experimenting, seeing what's what. There we go. Little fish, but it's probably ready for another feed, I'd say. A bit like being, remember last time when we had started getting smaller fish, it's because they wanted a little bit more bait. But as it is, I'm going to catch another one, and then that'll probably do. But I'm definitely going to carry on because it's been amazing. See if we can catch another one just by pulling it through a little bit. Oh, got some ramblers, folks. Go on, the ramblers. Oh, there you go. So you can see that time, obviously laying it in that way and pulling that float through. But tiny, tiny fish. Can we end on that? We can't end on one of them. Jakey, I'm not ending on a little baby fish like that, mate. Got to catch a bigger one. After we had that big poppadom and them chubs and that nice perch. Let's see if we can catch a slightly larger one. Let me lay it in that way again. So you can get one that way. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And let it go. Let it go. That's it. Coming down to the bottom now. And something's had that on the drop, but we're going to wait a little bit. Come on. Let's see if we can end on a larger one. So obviously trying to target the larger fish, you just, you know, go up bait size, double maggot, a bit of worm, casters, that kind of thing. If you know you stretch a river or canal, anything like that, natural venue gets maybe carp fish, then obviously they'll probably be putting pellets in, so try pellets, or, you know, maybe a bit of fish mealy ground bait, something like that. That can be how you'd get through to the bigger fish. And obviously this is like a, oh, stop putting me off, folks. This is like a real quick session today. Oh, falling me, blooming maggot, that one. This is like obviously a quick session today, just to show you how to get the most out of a venue that you potentially not fished before, or not fished for ages, or wanting to have a go, that kind of thing. This is how you go about it. So one more fish, bit of Hemp there, a bit more flow on. This would be perfect for like a stick float, I reckon. but it's a bit too slow for stick float as it is. Yeah, there we go, that's a little bit better. Well, you can see it's absolutely solid. It's a little hybrid to end on. So what's that, five species of fish, things like that. And it just shows you folks what to expect on these kind of venues. Yeah, venues that are pretty, well look, there's no one here. I know we're like back, you know, after the summer holidays, but there's no one here whatsoever, and it doesn't look as though anyone's been here fishing at all. There must be loads of venues like this around you. Don't need loads of bait, you know, just a couple of pints of maggots, bit of hemp, some elderberries, bag or two of ground bait, that's it, and you just get bites all the time. It's interesting when you are on these kind of venues to like work it out. Obviously commercials being commercials, you have a few swims on the go, put a little bit of bait in, wait for a bite, that kind of thing. Here you've got to make it happen. So that's why obviously we went down the route of you know, the noise, balling the bait in rather than sort of sneaking it in. It might be at times, you know, certainly the colder it gets, if it's crystal clear, that kind of thing, it might be right to like, you know, ball it in or even bait drop with a bait in rather than making a big commotion or starting off on a feed or something. I mean, all that, I've not even explored it, you know what I mean? It looks perfect for a feeder. It actually looks as though there's more flow sort of, you know, that side of the river than there is this side. So, you know, there's so much to explore, and obviously there's going to be loads of venues near you where you can go out and explore. As always, folks, if you've liked what you've seen today, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and that'll tell you when we're putting out these fantastic videos. But as it is now, I've got tench bubbles coming up there, I've got eel bubbles coming up there, I've got chub bubbles coming up there. I'm going to get me straight back on them fishes. So until next time, folks, hope you enjoyed it. Get out and give it a go. Yeah!